قبل شلامي وخبي وإيقاري آهلة برس خزوت أطفراي بتيول وانا مقرانو خون هاني خزيران بتاون أموخون قدا خلقتا ديلانيتا بنسبة شناية مناخا دكتور دوني جورج وبتعويلا خرزة بريشة بس بوشون برجان أمان المدخد خاصة بتايلا وأم خشات خرزن.
For advertising on HBTV, call 773-406-5366 or 773-733-9536. The HBTV crew will produce, shoot, and edit your commercials.
قشقانا مخبة من بالاتقد ننوى مقروخ قاتوخن آها خورزة ديلانايا بوتشونايا ادمناخا دكتور دوني جورج. دكتور دوني جورج ناطورة اتقى آشوراية جوبة نهرن طرأ تشئيتنايا قاقصر ملكة آشوراية باولاية شومراية أكداية آها ناطورة جبارة برشل منن وبيله أخا اتقى طيمانا ادبت تخرخ له هالآبت قدا خلقتن برجانا مخبة بتمزمخ باست خا بايوغرافي ينتشئيت خيوتا مناخا دكتور داني جورج أخشميلو خون دكتور داني جورج شونيلا من خي زونناية الخي أبدناية بيوم تروتا آدر خدسر بيه تريلبو خدسر جوبطوسة تورنتو بياشي واتشيدا بيد بتصوبة تورنتو دمقروة خالكتشر بوت اتقى اختي مريا علىها قم بسمالة قد جابيوا الداها وردة وبهارشوالة منن أبقلتت مخيتت لبا مجد إلى خا خسرانا جورا قاتن وقا اتقى آطفراية واتقى إراقاية قشقانا مخبة دكتور دوني جورج بريوا بشيت ألبو تشمو خمشي جو أنبار إراق برقوا رهط الله يتقريانو جو بتصوبة دبغداد بأركيولوجي ين اتقى ين آثار بشيت ألبو تشمو شوي أربا قنية للقرطيسة ماستر بشيت ألبو تشمو تماني إشتا من بتصوبة بغداد شيت ألبو تشمو أطشي خمشة قنية للدرجة PhD هرمن بصوبة بغداد بشيت ألبو تشمو شوي إشتا من برفاروق لقريانو بياشي لخهدامة جو بت اتقاد عراق يعني إراقي ميوزيوم يعني المتحف العراقي بشيت ألبو تشمو تماني بشلي مدبرانا اتخامن قنطرونة جو بت اتقاد عراق شيت ألبو تشمو تماني إشتا ألبو تشمو تماني شوا بشلي مدبرانا اتخدتها اتقى اتمديت بابل شيت ألبو تشمو تشي خمشة بشلي خلط مدبرانا كلنايا اتبت اتقى جو عراق شيت تريل بوطلا تريل بو خمشة بشلي مدبرانا كلنايا اتبت اتقى عراق يعني إراقي ميوزيوم شيت تريل بوطلا بت اتقى عراق بشلي مخروطة وبشلي جنيوة زودة من 15,000 قطاطة اتقى ناخذ دكتور دوني جورج خو بطلة وكلش له قد زودة من شواء 1000 قطاطة اتقى بشلي المضرة قبت اتقى العراق يعني قال المتحف العراقي يعني إراقي ميوزيوم صدوتو الخيو وخيد بيتوتو ومنبر بشلي مضية قد الله بالت من العراق بتبايش آون ينبرون قطيلة دكتور دوني شواقلة أطرت العراق أدلاب رزايو وشقالة البيتوتو وبغزاقلة قا أطرت أمريكا قدنش إني خراية كما قريوة أخا بروفيسور at anthropology يعني علم الإنسان جو ستاني بروك يونيفرسيتي جو نيويورك دكتور دوني جورج بياشيل الضيا جو كل تيفل بشمت the man who saved the Iraqi National Museum ين أوبر سوبا تخوميلة ونطر البت أتقى العراق. دكتور دوني جورج إيوا أوبر سوبا بوشليبا ومارد نسيانا جو دنيا كلها بأتقى بطنهرن. من همزميات الدكتور دوني جورج ماريلي أنا آتوراي من مشيخايا أباهي آشوراي خيانا جو بطنهرن العراق قائم من قم خمشة البيشنة دويخة ونخي قبول خانة وخلمت ابن أمي وأطري بكل صبيوتا من سبب آها إلي أطري برجانا مخبة لتلن لي مارا شقمن تلقلن خاكخ ولو جانا جوشمية أدآتر وبرشتا دكتور دوني جورج إلى خسرانة جورا قبنا عراق بريشايت قاتن أخن آتوراي آلها باب كل منخ دكتور دوني جورج ويبل السامة جملكوت وشميانيتا من جيبي أنا هاني خزيران من جيب أخوني هرمس حسو وإدمون حسو وكل عودة برس خزور آتوراي بتيبل بيشقان آها برست بلبة شميطة وخشانا الطلب من مريا آلها تقابل جملكوت وشميانيتا ومقروخ بوياء قبيتو تتناخا دكتور دوني جورج أتم بسي مرابا
شلام اللوخن برجاني مغبي وديو أنا شبي لدارت النورمان سلخة وديو إيواق جو ميوزيوم مسبتامية جم يلخا بهمزمينا دكتور دوني جورج يوخنا مناخا كد مو يخلط الأربعين من كم وديو جو كندا جو أرخد من نيويورك برشاول كندا أجمل كارياتهم بول بشني شتك جاه كامل تغزيلي جو بريتش ميوزيوم إذن دعوت أوتوراي بولتيفا مالشيات أوتوراي بولتيفا جو تخبرياتو كتباديفا جو إيراق مفشمان تلك ديال جيلي وميخلي ولمطي لبسة أولن لاهم اللي بدي بتمدياني كتباديفا جو خيو كأوتوراي كتش إتديان أختي تيفيل تريش تابي أنا كاينة إن شلون كتبيدل راب بوش أنا كاينة ميوزيوم العراق أو خميال أو تشيال أني دافي زود من استري 3 كيلو دافت أطراي تشيال جو خاب بنكا وناش العراق ليف بدا إيش وخش الميوزيوم بربسي ولا مخيلة توبا جودو كت برزلا شابتني وبرز توبا در جانه كم كتلالة تاما إن أف بسيبة تشيال جو خاب بنكا جو في بالت بولتينا بور هذا رابع زحمة جري شوا أني بولتينا بتشخيفة جو شيت البول سموت ماري طلاب خشافن اتفعل فيديو أخذ مغزيل كاديان جو بريتش ميوزيوم وأخذ دخ بالوتين من ديان دخ ما تشخينا طلاب ماليشيات سوراي وتاما خمنا شمو إيوا يابايا خمنا إيوا إيطاليا إخيتا إيوا بانيتو مالشيات تريب ملشت طلاب ملشت أوتوراي وإشارتها من ملشت تقلت ببيلسر ملشت سرغون وخينا إيوا شرمانيسر أني شو اللي أني مين بتالخ له دعوة قد مفلخوا ك مالكيات متابع منه مندال جبت كيراوي والله والصدريوا أبند جد أختي بيشوا إني دعوة مرزبنان كدالي بيشوا تاما كمتشخيله بولتيله أنا غزيلي جو بريتش ميوزيوم ويا فيديو إذا بخباره ومن ديانو بالوتيوا خا مغزوه جو فيديو الطويل برضه فيديو unfortunately لم بشر بتشخني إذا من ديان كتفيديل كتش إتدي الرابع أنا كاينة بشمان تلا من بر كمديان كوم لجو العراق بلجوت أمريكا خشلة جو بغداد مش المعنى تخدش أجوز ليكاتو مجبور الرك لمن طابخش لسوريا يا برخت دكتور كريستي ستون خشلة بارو مجيلة من كدمتالجو ستون بروك يونيفرسيتي وطبعا anthropologist بورا ريفيوجي بخشافين ويولا شولا كاتو أي إيفا شيت البخشافة تريل بطلا ما بشوفت لخ إحنا لخ بخواطر رابع بجو من ديانة أنتيغويتيز من ديانة أوتراي أتيك لخ دا شماطي مانا شماطي ما إتلي إت من ديانة لمس قيمة متغلي أو شطي ماننا example خاب لك أكريستي بالخانة من جورو مي دالي اتخذت من ديانة جرمي ليفا جرمي كانت بيلك ترسيبه من ديانة أوتراي توشيتيوا خوميتيوا زبنيلي 5 مليون ترماء البخ باوندز بريتش باوندز زبنيلة عادية بريتش ميوزيوم زبنيلة عادية دافد كنت أو متخيلي المدينة كنت أو متخيلي بإمي مليون دولار بيشي زبني أنا متخيلي خاشكلا إيفا إسري شني من خاب باند طالبة درامر إيوا هاي لشيت ألبو تشمو شوبي زندر ستور اتفعل عشكله وتلرابه شكل خيل بيعمل لك عادي بخشاف جاهد بتاعه شمس خاندي بش كمغزي يخله من دياني كتفيدالي جخبرياتي ليفا أسيريولوجيست إيفا أركيولوجيست ليما سوكاري ولشانا أكادايا بوتكارخلا كيدين رايدنج بسمار اشتوت بسمار لمس وكاري ولا هنا خبراني به ما تشخوالي دوشاني قد ناشخين ليه ومتشخي أو أزفر بالت ولا مديان أتيكو بالت ولا خام ديان جورو بدلي إلى stone industry of تل أسوان ده كيبي طورسي وجودي ماتا اشتال في شدن من كم شيخة خام دي رابا جورو الكترش إتديان 6,000 years ago moved by the Assyrian Empire or a Babylonian Empire. كادي شبتها خدت بيرخا University of Chicago شدرخا إيميل مرة قد ميخيل داني جورج ميخيل هرب دي دانا كادي تليفون بدله خبراتها من أرمينيا University of يريفان مرة داني جورج ميخيل مري لا مرة أي ميخيل قدمي جو hospital جو airport جو كندا ميخيل بدمالي توالي خدشو باصروتا باللبة جيبه ويبايسوي لكت خيو تمام من كم داني سبب بدوكا مني من خيري كت يعطينا رابا جيلي به اشتيشنو به حالا جوشتيشن العدي برناش برد اشتيشن بشارولي بجتوياتي بمديان تخمنياتي امكي كات آمسني شاتبني مزيد اللومن ديت فيدالي كت ناش خيني يطيمو فيدالي ليلا داد خمني كام ما يخني دان ما يختلال دان بالخاني لا unfortunately لبو زبني با و يخلق شيء أنا مخزوم با جو مغالياتي أني مديان National Geographic رابع جاه مخزيت هلا مديان ديان لخا مخزوبيله مديان كتقام أني إنا إلى السوميريان السومرايلا الباشن من كبد سورايلا أي أوجي بخيلة السوراينا انطلع مع الجياتنا جو ناشنال جيوغراف متابع إن جشكخلا تشيت ناشنال جيوغرافيك راو مديان شتفل لخا بشتفنا crucible Iraq crucible of civilization جرجشتت بشرتت بريزلا بشرتت مردوطة crucible of civilization يمكن خارج بدوجة بخير the cradle of civilization جرجشتت مردوطة و يلبانا جشكيتو اللي مشيت ألفو أنا مش خير من شيفتو كامي تكت شتفلي بتصيراي إلى البوتشو اشتاصر ناشنال جيوغرافيك خام إمو خمشي بتفات بتصيراي شتفلي من ديالك ما تشوف خوا إيضانا ماشي من كام عادية إتهجت أسراش من خام دي خاتت شتفيني أجتابا إن بشلشتيفا دوني جورج إلى لخا مخزونة دوني جورج مون لفيدا أتشئيتو لخلا أكتاب زابولا University of Chicago شوفسيتو زونيتو من University of Chicago بخشابن شوفسيت بارسل الارتيمول ريل رابطيمانا و ناشونال جغرافيك شتفتوا له إن لخا مغزوفنا كت إني ما دافد مالشياتي حسين مشخيله ما بشمنتي لكت أنا بداية من داني جورج بتخيل على شكل خزيان شكل كامل كت بولتي فيديو داني جورج بولتي من جو بتقول رواتت نمرود اتمالشياتي إن أخت مش المنت بتالي خلالنا هم شاء الله هذا الشكل ده آخر تشكيلنا من داني جورج يونا كحسين مرة مش خليني من ديانة أنا بداية من يخزي أو فيديو كامل يجوا لندن مش خيبة أنا كنت لك التشة متخرتها ما جهتي اليونيفرسيتي اوف شيكاغو كشيكاغو هم زميلي كدين احنا طراي رابع لازق ترتيبه اديه جو بروجرام يونيفرسيتي اوف شيكاغو جشكيتون جون 1 جيري افي لخا unfortunately ليمس مارتيني برشبه اجي برشبه جو تورنتو هم زمان كاسفراي خينا لمطي للطامه هم زمان با شباب كل الدنيا برشبه هم زمان بالتشخيص اطراي.
He was Director General of Research and Studies in Iraq at the time of the US-led invasion in April 2003. Alerted to the imminent attack on the museum, he and the museum staff secured the Iraqi National Museum in Baghdad as best they could before leaving the building. A group of looters, probably professional thieves, informed about the location of prized antiquities, entered the museum at this point and were followed over the next 2 days by other groups of looters who removed antiquities and vandalized the galleries and offices. Those of you who remember those days may have felt the same kind of unease that many of us felt, wondering why this was so, seemed even more shocking than the actual violence of the invasion to the population itself. It was a really stunning event, the looting of the museum, if you remember. As Director General of the Iraq Museum, Dr. Yukhana worked with his staff to inventory collections and assess damage and theft in the aftermath of the loot. And with the Iraqi public and with colleagues and law enforcement officials worldwide, they worked to recover stolen objects. This process continues with several thousand objects still missing. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome you here to talk to us tonight.
Thank you.
Would love to, for some change, not talk about the looting of the Iraq Museum, but a rather wonderful subject that is what we found in Nimrud. Here we are. To start immediately, we knew that excavations in this city of Nimrud, Sir Max Mallowan had found some grapes. One had some precious material in it. So when we started cleaning some parts of the palace, the Northwestern Palace, there was an incident that the idea was to clean the area, the family court of the palace. And there was one of the rooms that had been checked and excavated by Sir Max Mallowan. The excavator found the floor bricks were uneven. So he ordered the workmen to take them off, arrange the ground and put them back. When they took the flooring out, they said, well, these are some vertical bricks here. So vertical bricks means that there's a vault down there. Started checking and he found the first grave with wonderful material. And so he went on checking the floors of that, what Sir Max Mallowan called harem, area, or that's the family court of the palace. And that is what he discovered there, 3 graves with huge amount of material and information, and we will see here. We should know that there are 4 major Assyrian cities and capitals that we had in the history of Assyria. Ashur here, the famous city where the temple of Ashur, the main god or deity of the Assyrians, and Nineveh, Dur Sharrukin, the city of Sargon, and Kalkhu, this is Nimrud. We know the kings were buried in Ashur because the German excavators there had found several places with empty sarcophagus, but the information tell us that these were kings there. So where were the queens? We have the queens now. This is a part of the city of Nimrud. It goes here. This is the citadel of the city. This is Tigris River going from here, and it used to flow just beside the city here. Now it has moved for a distance. Here is a closer shot to the citadel, where here we have the palace, and here is the harem area, or the family court. Here we have the ziggurat of the city, that's the ziggurat of Ishtar. The temple of Ishtar is just here, and of course some other, we have the Nabu temple here, some other parts, and here is the excavation building where that was accidentally was found by Muzahim Mahmud, who was the head of the team. Here we have the second grave where it was the richest one, and we have the third one here, and then he found a fourth one, but it only had some pottery, some stone material, nothing left from the skeletal remains, but it looked like it was full of a lot of things, but they vanished. Now, the information tells us for the first time, we know about the queens, the Assyrian queens, which we find here in this area. Grave number 2 contained the remains of 3 queens, and grave number 3 contained remains of another queen and some children. We'll see. The oldest one was Mulisu Mukannishat Nineveh, and she was the wife of King Ashur-nasir-pal II. And we know from the document that she was the daughter of the cupbearer of the palace, which is a level of servant, something like the butler of the palace, a very high rank official in the palace. She was the daughter of the butler, and she was the queen of the palace, as the inscriptions say. Then we have Yaba, or Yabaya. She was the wife of Tiglath-Pileser III. Then we have Manitu. She was the wife of King Shalmaneser V. And we have Atalia. She was the wife of Sargon, for Sargon II. All this is brand new information. We never knew these names and all their connections with the Assyrian kings. 3 books were published about this material. First one was in 1997, I think. It was a small book. It's a booklet, but it was very nice, published in German. It's in German and Arabic. The second one was published in the year 2000, again, English and Arabic. And the third one is the proceedings of a conference we had in London, and in 2002, It was published last year, and I got a copy just 2 weeks ago. These are some material from the first grave. The first material we had. It's all gold. It's a beautiful fibula. You can see this is if we can imagine, that's the natural size, and I have blown it up this way. By the way, that time, because of the sanctions, we did not have color films in Baghdad. I used black and whites and developed them myself. But you can see the details here. Here is an eagle or a hawk, and there's a lady here, and here she is having the head of a Pazuzu. That's the demon of the underworld, Assyrian underworld. A beautiful chain that was 46 centimeters long, double chain, and what the people of Iraq now call it, this is the Italian way of weaving the gold. So it looks like as if it was done mechanically, not by hand. Again, a beautiful stamp seal, but it contained inscription, hieroglyphic, Egyptian inscription. We sent it, we printed out, and we sent it with a friend of us to Egypt. Some scholars said it was just a kind of incantation text. Now, this is, again, we had 5 earrings from that first grave. And I had a surprise when I was here some months ago. A friend of mine from London emailed me and said, Donny, check the attachment. I think you know this. When I checked the attachment, there was a pair of these offered in Christie. The same pair of earrings. And I made this photo in Christie's, New York, but thanks God I could collect all my data and contacted Baghdad. We got some more data from them, and now they were willing to hand it over. Now this material is with the customs in New York, and it will be going to Baghdad. The second grave, which was the richest one, this is an isometric design for the grave. It would go down here, the antechamber here, and there was a door, then the main chamber here. Here you will see the tablet that was a kind of inscription. We will see it. And in here, this was the sarcophagus here, and 2 niches, one here, one on the other side, which had 2 alabaster vases. This material was in the antechamber. And when I arrived the second day from Baghdad, the excavator said, Donny, I only had to use a brush and clean them. I did not excavate in this. It was complete and it was empty. I just had to brush them. This is a beautiful lamp and some pottery material. This is in the antechamber, the small one. This is the tablet for Queen Yaba, where she is cursing anyone that will take her gold away and let his soul not rest, but fly over. And thanks God, we did not take the gold, we put it in the museum. And now it's in the central bank in Baghdad. It's protected. And this is the text. It's a beautiful text, royal text, clean, perfect. Anyhow, this is one of those vases. The surprise was when we had a German scholar working on the skeletal remains. He could get some of the remains that we found in these. He said that perhaps there are some remains of human brain cells in one of them. What is this? We still need to study this. And this is the first shot I made when I went down, because they did not open the sarcophagus until I arrived, and me and Muzahim himself, we moved the stone aside. And then, glancing in this inside, this was the first shot again from inside. Remember, this is a beautiful mirror, copper with very nice handle. We'll see the details later. But what was this black thing here? We will see later. Now, in excavating in the sarcophagus itself, we found that this was old textile, this black material. And we were finding small gold rosettes within here. We had over 700 of those small rosettes. Now, the first time we displayed this in the Iraq Museum, one day, just accidentally, I was in that hall, and there was a family, a lady with a husband and 2 girls, watching there. And then I listened to the lady in a Maslawi dialect. People from Mosul said, "Look, my God, these are exactly like the roses we had on our bed sheet." I went back to her. I said, "What you said?" "I'm from the museum." She said, "They look exactly like the ones that we used to do in Mosul and decorate with cheap gold, but it's gold, decorate our bed sheets when we get married." So now this is the connection. That was the queen's bed sheet tied and put over her. See, and we have, I think, 770 something of these rosettes, and each one of them had a ring behind to be sewed to that bed sheet. This is the first day when we brought the material to the Mosul Museum. We'll see in details everything. Now, this is one of the crowns. Again, you see these rosettes. They are there. The Assyrians used them in all their decorations and in palaces and on their clothes and everything. Now we have them on gold. Some anklets, which we could see one of them on the leg of one of the queens when we opened the sarcophagus. One thing is nice. We should know that each one of these big ones weighs 1,600 grams of royal gold. But the idea was each one had a pin. They would be opened, just like this. And I just want to mention this lady, Noreen Feeney, allowed me to use some of her pictures. She was there for the exhibition of 2003, and some of her pictures I'm showing you here together with my pictures. A beautiful plate. And, you know, these are some details. This is for the rim, and this is for the center. Wonderful Assyrian motifs, all gold. Only one Egyptian plate. This is a complete Egyptian decorated plate. Even the gold was different in color. So, and we know from that period, the Assyrians and the Egyptians had wonderful relations, sending gifts to each other. But this is a very nice and needs to be studied thoroughly because everything is Egyptian on this plate. Now, this is a wonderful diadem. We've seen this in the Assyrian sculptures. For the first time, we have it. It's all in gold, and this band is 6 centimeters wide, all woven with gold strings and precious stones. And here we have very small pomegranates attached to all these parts and precious stones, as you can see. Some more details of that diadem. These are some more attachments to other crowns. We did not have them. But one thing is interesting here. One of these, not these two, We have several ones. One of these is mentioning the stone of the crown of King Kurikalzu. There's a text. Now, Kurikalzu is a Kassite king, and he was in about 1500 BC. And what we have here, almost 800 BC, which means that they did keep antiques during that time, because the text is there. It's mentioning the name of King Kurikalzu, and we have no one but that Kassite king. Some of the seals, cylinder seals, stamp seals, with different motifs, with gold caps, and you can see also here, we'll see some others. This is the stamp seal of Queen Yabaya herself, because it's mentioned here. This is the seal of Queen Yabaya, her personal seal. And here we see her herself standing in front of goddess Gula. Bracelets, different kinds of bracelets. The average weight of each bracelet made of solid gold, about 800 grams of each. One of them, I found that it had, and behind here, perhaps it's the trademark of the goldsmith, a very small, tiny picture of a lion. Very small, in millimeters size, but a beautiful lion just inside here. And there were different ways. Sometimes you would have the gold as the background or the front, and the background is precious stones. Sometimes the other way around, and it goes in different. And of course, here we see also inlaid with different kind of stone, some details here. These are just other solid golds. You see here, again, these ones, I'm sure, I weighed them. They were, each one was 800 grams of gold. In grave 3, we found some material that looked small and looked maybe for children. And we did find some skeletal remains for a child. And there was something mentioned in some of the texts there that perhaps there was a kind of sickness and the child died. So all his material was kept with him in that grave 3. This is from the second grave. Again, we see they had pins, but it's a beautiful way of serpents meeting the heads here with the pins that you can open it and wear it and then close it. I managed to convince one of the ladies in the museum to wear some of these necklaces. And again, we did that in black and white, but a beautiful combination. Some we managed to know exactly how they were. Some we're not sure because we just found them scattered in the sarcophagus. This is a beautiful necklace. We have 2 of these in the collection. The other one is exactly the same, but these almonds are inlaid with precious stones. This one is complete gold, and here you will see the clip is gazelles, heads of 2 gazelles. Now, different kinds, whatever you can imagine of designs, you'll find it there. This is the mirror. And you see how beautiful this handle was made as a palmette, as a date palm. And here we have some more details in gold and precious stones. We have some bowls. This one is the biggest one. It's something like that. And the guy who took it up for the first time, he cleaned it on top, and I was making some video shots. That moment, he said, "My God," I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's full of rings and earrings." And it was, yes, full of rings and earrings, and we will see some of those examples. This is that big bowl that we had. By the way, you see we have the inscriptions here, but in several material from that grave that this belongs to Yabaya, and we see the image of the scorpion. We also see it on, I don't have a picture, on a mirror made of silver for her. Now, in studying this, we understood that women wanting children would have scorpions on their possessions. Now, prior to what happened in 1991, the first Gulf War, we decided to take everything and put it in the central bank because they were safer than what we had in the museum. And they stayed there from 1990 until 2003. What happened was the central bank received a missile on the lobby of the central bank. And the security precautions were done for that building. It was built by the Germans, that whatever large impact will happen to this building, the two-level of basement will be flooded immediately. So our material and huge amount of money were just in the water. So at that time, we wanted to go there, get the water, pump the water out. We had nothing. It was those very first days after the 2003 war. We did not have any budget, but we knew that they were sealed enough. So, but who was there? National Geographic people. They said, we have money, we can pump it out for you, but we want to shoot everything. We want the exclusive. I said, okay, go ahead, do it. So they pumped the water out and they shot everything. And this was the first day when the museum people started unwrapping the material. And as you can see, they were all soaked in water. This is the late Ambassador Donny. Then we did not have a Minister of Culture, but we had people from the American administration. This gentleman was the advisor for culture, and these are the people that we had from the civil affairs. After the looting of the museum, they were always working with us to help us in doing everything. So they were there when we started having, and this is Colonel Kessel, one of my friends there. So after that, it was said, there were a lot of rumors that the treasures of Nimrud are gone. And people had stolen them. Or sometimes people said the wife of Saddam Hussein had taken them away. But we knew, because we've checked the basement, there was an attempt. We went there. Somebody has gone down there, some of the looters, with an RPG-7 in their hand, but it's a very small space. Stupid guy fired an RPG-7 on the safe door of that basement, and it turned back and killed them all. And I believe this was the curse of Yabaya. So no one touched that material until we went back there. There's one beautiful story, again, I would like to mention about the Iraqi people, about this one. It was said that during those last days, one of the sons of Saddam went to the central bank and asked to get, I think, $1 billion, $800,000, $800 million, and 200 million of pounds. The people in the central bank said, well, this is a huge amount of money. We need the signature of your father for this. I said, okay. He went back, came back, got the signature of his father. He took the money. And then this money was found in the in the palace by the American forces. There were two people who had the keys, two combination numbers for the door, safe door for this material. They talked to each other and said, well, what will happen if this guy comes and brings the signature of his father and demands to take anything of this treasure? No one will stop him. They decided, each one, to take his key, take his family, go out of Baghdad, in the country, vanish without telling anyone where they were going, with the keys with them. So they really did an excellent job. After everything was settled down, they came back and they were the ones who opened the door for us when we saw the material. So it was decided, okay, let's have the material for one show, few hours in the museum to show that the treasure is safe enough. So it was heavily guarded, one box of that Nimrud material brought to the museum, and then with these guys around the box, this is the box, and I said, well, no one will leave this box. You are staying with the box tonight. And they slept overnight with this box in one of the galleries together with 4 of the staff of the museum until the next morning. People started displaying the same material in the showcases for a few hours. And then we had Paul Bremer came and opened the exhibition. This is Muzahim. This is the excavator. This is the guy who found it. And here's Paul Bremer, you know, never seen such material. And I have this lovely last shot of him, you know, amazed of this beautiful material. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
On the 13th of April 2003, when I went back to the museum, it was something like as if a hurricane had hit. Completely everything was destroyed. All the documents were on the floor. All the equipments were stolen. And what about the museum itself? It had really a catastrophe. Because the looters were inside the galleries, the looters were in the storerooms. And for me, that was the first time in my life to see a museum been looted in that way. It had been ransacked completely. What they could not take, they smashed. During the fall of Baghdad, and what we saw of these horrible scenes of the looting all over the city, and what happened to the museum, this was not the only thing. The main problem was the archaeological sites, the chaos that was there, the insecurity that was there. It was a kind of looting all over the country, but looting the archaeological sites, that was the most dangerous thing. Destroying all the texture of these archaeological sites by just digging in a crazy way, and then extracting all these antiquities, thousands of antiquities. We have from those sites that people brought to the museum around 17,000 objects. If we have these 17,000 objects in the museum, how much has been taken outside? The markets are full of clay tablets from only one site, Ummah. thousands of clay tablets are in Europe, in America, or even in Japan. But what are we doing for that? We have to work together on that. It's not something that they are losing and tomorrow with the prices of oil they can buy it again. It's something that has been lost and can never be bought again. It's something that will be lost and we can never have it. It's gone for good. It is actually the memory of the Iraqi people. These are the memories of the mankind that are there, and they are lost. Let's gather together and see what we can do so that people will not forget what happened. And maybe we can have this a kind of every year event so that we will not forget. Let's gather together. Here in Stony Brook, we will gather together with a lot of students and faculty to remember those 3 days. And if you can gather together and remember and light a candle. Light a candle is a very nice symbol so that we will not forget.
The civilized world cannot stand by while these priceless antiquities are being illegally looted, stolen, or smuggled and sold at auctions. We will continue bringing awareness to this devastating crime against the history of our forefathers and humankind until every piece of those antiquities have been recovered and returned to our homeland Assyria, also known as Iraq.
يا قلبي سل وذوب ون وتفطر يا قلبي سل وذوب ون وتفطر واجري الدمع يا عين من جفنك حمار واجري الدمع يا عين من جفنك حمار نوحي 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 على العفوك يا روحي نوحي 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 على العفوك يا روحي نوحي والقمر تالي الليل دزت ساعي والقمر تالي الليل دزت ساعي يا نجمة شوف هواي نايم لو واعي يا نجمة شوف هواي نايم لو واعي نوحي 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 على العفوك يا روحي نوحي 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 على العفوك يا روحي نوحي رحلت ود الروح ما ينفع اللوم رحلت ود الروح ما ينفع اللوم أصبح أصبح سمير النوح من بعده وهموم أصبح
Ladies and gentlemen, really it's a hard moment for me to be here. And I do thank you so much. And God bless you and bless the hands that are holding these candles. When we really realized that the Americans are coming to Baghdad, deep in my heart I felt, well, this is a moment that will be a turning moment for the Iraqis and for the Iraq Museum, that we will start working in the field of archaeology and museums like the whole world do. But what happened, as Max said, on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, really ripped my heart. And it was really hard times for us until the moment I left the country. And I always said that a lot of people asked me my feeling, what were my feeling about the looting and why I left. I would say my pain is, if you can feel like a line of blood from my heart. That time was from Baghdad to Damascus, and then from Damascus to New York. And it's still bleeding because the problem is still there, and we cannot open, nobody can open the museum because of the situation. People have been killed, even around the museum. The staff of the museum, until now, about 6 or 7 people from the staff of the museum have been killed, either targeted or in the incidents like car bombs and all these things. I really do thank SAFE, Cindy Howe, for this initiative of the candlelight that is happening every year. And I hope it will happen every year until, I would suggest, we will have it for the last time in Baghdad in the opening day of the Iraq Museum. Then we will, if I may suggest, stop the candlelight vigils and we will go and visit the Iraq Museum. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, SAFE. Thank you very much, the Oriental Institute, and God bless you all. Thank you.
دزيت ساعي بيسل وذوب وانه تفطر واجري الدمع يا عين من جفنك حمار واجري الدمع يا عين من جفنك حمار نوحي 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 على العفوك يا روحي نوحي 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 على العفوك يا